If you're out there listening to this podcast and you're an artist or graphic designer who's interested in collaborating with us on perhaps some merch designs, please reach out. We're looking for some help there. dissectingthe80s@gmail.com. This podcast is brought to you by our lovely supporters over on Patreon. If you visit patreon.com/dissectingthe80s, you can learn about all the bonus features available to you, such as our monthly newsletter where we recap the things we've been watching and enjoying, bonus episodes every other month. That's the even-numbered months. So in February, our listeners will be treated to an extra special episode on Leap Day. Plus, when you sign up, you get access to the dozen-plus episodes that have been released, more than a dozen episodes have been released on our bonus feed. Visit patreon.com/dissectingthe80s to find out more. Welcome to Dissecting the 80s. I am Tripp Leno, one half of the Mega Podcasting Powers, and with me, as always, my mamushka celebrating his birthday, the Macho Man.
Andrew Leno. I thought you were going to say the Wednesday to your Pugsley.
I feel like Pugsley is sort of the short stick.
Yeah,
so nobody wants to be Pugsley.
Yeah, no, he's the booster.
Yeah. I mean, I think Pugsley a little better than Booster in that, like, if I was Pugsley, I wouldn't be sad about it, but I don't want to actively be Pugsley. You know what I mean?
Fair.
We are jumping in one of Andrew's faves to start the month. It is, of course, Favorites-bruary, one of the greatest months of the year. And we are celebrating with 1991's The Addams Family. You know what that means.
We gotta go back. We gotta go dissect the 80s. It's your subversive family. So it's your subversive family.
When the mega powers explode.
I'm talking about the 80s. Oh, yeah.
Great Scott.
Cream of the crop. Oh, yeah.
Mega powers, yeah.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
All right, so I want to start with something on the top that might be controversial to you.
Controversial yet brave. Go ahead.
I don't know if it's brave.
That's just a common gay phrase now.
Well, they took it from Eric Andre.
Controversial yet brave?
Yeah, that's he said that on his
I mean, that's
show.
welcome to gay life. Gay life is just taking phrases from black people and then
the filter does seem to be the black community to the gay community to the
white women,
to
straight white women.
Yeah, that's fair. Although straight white women have their own carve out in that, like, there's a unique culture to white women that perhaps could be their own thing. Like, I don't think the black community or the gay community was real big on the Stanley Cup, but white women certainly seem to
we didn't. Although, I did buy a similar.
White men probably also like the Stanley Cup. I don't mean to be, this is not meant to be misogynistic. I'm just saying occasionally things don't go through. But fashion certainly seems to be the pipeline.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's my Addams Family statement. Isn't this movie like 25% better if it is Fester doesn't know he's Fester and these people are trying to convince him he's not Fester, and the Addams Family is like, no, you're our uncle?
No, I think the movie's. I don't know if I like that version better.
Because so this is the
because
thing.
Why would they not want him to be Fester?
Who wouldn't want him to be Fester?
You said, isn't this movie better if these people are convincing him he's not their uncle?
The war should be the Addams Family is trying to convince him of who he is, and the other people are like, no, we raised you, you're part of our family, these people don't mean anything to you, steal their money.
I don't know.
And he is like sort of caught in, because this is the thing, this is the beef that I have with this. This was an Andrew movie that I watch sometimes, and I have general fondness.
I will say this is a movie very similar to the Brady Bunch movie, where a lot of the lines you remember are from the sequel. A lot of a bunch of iconic moments are in the sequel, but the movies are so similar that it's hard to differentiate.
Is Harmony from Buffy in the sequel?
She plays Amanda in the sequel.
Okay, because the two big things where in watching this, like, number one, I was like, wait, I thought Carol Kane was Grandma, and that turned out to be only in the sequel. So there's which honestly
improvement,
an upgrade in performer, but also in Angelica Houston's memoir, she talked about how the actress who played Grandma had to be under so much latex makeup that it was basically torture for her. And she said the way that she coped was just constantly smoking joints in her trailer, just like one after the other. Yeah. I'll read a little excerpt. I screenshotted it so I can read that a little bit.
I didn't know she had I didn't know Angelica Houston had a memoir. I'd love to read that.
I actually was like, has Andrew read this? It seems like almost certain
I have not.
that Andrew's read this memoir.
Because I love Angelica Houston.
Yeah, I mean, I had a major crush on Angelica Houston. She's a beautiful woman.
What role was your
all Angelica Houston? She's that like kind of scary but still hot thing in both this and obviously in The Witches. She's scary.
In The Witches, she gets a little too scary. But
yeah, she's too scary. But there is a part in The Witches where she's just like beautiful.
Yeah,
Angelica
for a minute.
Houston. Yeah. So I just feel like it's like, oh, that's a very pretty lady. Oh no, she's scary.
You've been tricked.
Yeah. But so this was you had a little spooky boy phase that lasted a good long while.
I'm still kind of in a spooky boy phase.
But like not you had all of the tenets of a Hot Topic kid, but never went to the full lengths of being a Hot Topic.
No, I never did like the eyeliner and the nail paint and the nail polish and the Tripp NYC pants.
You didn't like the music either. No, you were like obviously you like Danny Elfman, but like you did not have time for Disturbed.
Yeah, if you were screaming at me, I didn't want it.
Yeah, so you were like Hot Topic adjacent. I mean, you were definitely like a little.
I was shopping at Hot Topic, but I didn't like being in there too much.
Yeah, and I was like, I can't even go in this store. It's too obnoxious. I was like I was 13 and with the vibes of a 45-year-old.
I think that's been established.
I'll wait over by the Annie Ann's while you guys.
I'll get an orange Julius.
Yeah, exactly. Don't think I've ever had one of those. I think we talked about that in the podcast recently, or maybe that was offline. I never remember which parts of the conversations are
at
recorded.
At this point, who's to say what is podcast and what is life?
I do. Yeah, it's just one weird bleh. But so. This was definitely a movie that you loved and that I watched a bunch of times just kind of like through osmosis. Like I would be surprised if there was more than one time where I like actively sat down and watched this A to Z, but it was definitely a movie I've seen many parts of either because you were watching it or it was on cable or whatever. And I have a fondness for the movie and it's a good movie. I like it. But the whole time I did not, well, that's what I'm saying. I didn't remember this whole plot with like, they think Fester's an imposter and then they're like not sure if he's on the team or not. And I'm like, no other human being look like you people. Like you all look very uniquely Addams Family. There isn't like a weird person who looks like you that's not in the crew. So obviously he's not an imposter. This is stupid.
That to me is the beauty is the Addams Family done right? Because I enjoyed Wednesday for what it was, that TV show or the Netflix show, but I have a lot of problems with things that don't know how to handle the Addamses, and it's like their world. They are camp. They live their life in quotation marks. Like everything is the concept of the thing. Like Morticia is a woman in quotes because she is got the nipped in waist and the hourglass figure and the elegant walk and the slant and the beautiful makeup and the dramatic eyes and everything.
Oh, did you? Okay, so you don't know about the eyes.
Oh, I know that the eyes are it's spirit gum and string, but nowadays you just buy facelift tape.
Okay, but like, do you know all about it? Because I have details from the memoir.
I mean, I'm sure you have better details than me, but facelift tape is a thing you can buy now.
Yes, but this was unbelievably torturous. So the makeup, the effect on her eyes, which were slanted upwards, was achieved by attaching an elastic strap to the back of her head via fabric tabs glued at her temples, which pulled the corners of her eyes upwards. They used this is not in the thing I'm reading, this is now me editorializing. My cousin Vinny, you can see them on Joe Pesci's face in there, where they tried to give him like an eye lift with a string.
Half the queens on Drag Race wear them.
Yeah, but a second strap was added to balance the appearance of the lower part of her face with the upper part of her face. The bands caused extended discomfort to Houston, and unless she removed them at lunchtime, she would suffer severe headaches and rashes later in the day. Removing the bands for this break entailed hours of extra work, both in removing them and then reapplying the makeup and wig after lunch. On top of this, the bands would snap at the slightest turn of her head, causing yet more grueling repair time.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, she learned to pivot and turn her feet without moving her upper body.
Like Michael Keaton.
So she basically was Michael Keaton in the first Batman.
But again, like that makes her so much more ethereal and otherworldly that she She doesn't move like a human.
Yeah, no, it helps the performance, but poor Angelica Houston. Here's the other part. According to the Houston, actress Judith Malina, that's Grandma, her way of enduring being, quote, embedded in latex for more than 12 hours a day was to, quote, smoke an endless series of joints in her trailer throughout filming. This movie had like Grandma. A crazy... Yeah. The production of this movie is kind of insane. It was originally financed by Orion Pictures, which went away and now is back as like a boutique fake label. $25 million budget. It went way over budget.
Well, originally they wanted Tim Burton to do it.
Yes, Tim Burton passed because he was making Batman Returns, and then they tried to get Terry Gilliam to do it, and he also passed, and then they went to Barry Sonnenfeld.
I thought there was one other.
Those are the two big names, and this is Barry Sonnenfeld's first movie that he directed. He was DP for a bunch of stuff. He had so much stress during the filming that he ended up like getting really violently ill and missing time. In the last 3 months of production, the director of photography quit, and he was replaced by another guy. Within weeks, the guy, Gail Tattersall, who they replaced this first DP, Owen Roisman, with, he got rushed to the hospital, and so they had to stop production. And eventually, Sonnenfeld's like, all right, I'll just do DP and direct.
Because if something happens to me, we're screwed anyways, was what he said.
Yeah. Then Raul Julia had a blood vessel burst in his eye, which meant they had to just film around Raul Julia. Like, they had to just film everything else.
From the back or whatever,
Yeah, like anything they could film without him. But so during all of this, Orion, which is having financial difficulties of its own, is like, okay, we got to get some help. We're going to sell the movie while it's being made, which is very unusual.
Yeah.
They sell the movie to Columbia, and they're like, we already sold international rights to Columbia, so we're going to sell domestic rights to Paramount, and then we're out of this movie because we got issues with cash here. So they do that, and then the movie is an enormous success. It makes way many times its budget, and Paramount reaps the rewards, and now they own the movie, which eventually leads to a sequel, and then the sequel I think also made pretty good money sequel as well. It is a good sequel. I totally agree. There's also a third one, which I did not know about, which basically only brings back Lurch and nobody else.
It's one with Daryl Hannah and Tim Curry.
Tim Curry, yeah. Who I think could play Gomez, but it's a very different energy. Obviously, Raul Julia was dead by then, so,
I think that one was a TV movie.
Just like crazy. It may have been. So it went $5 million over budget overall. And then this is the other part I found buck wild in the production. I have a lot of production notes because I was reading about this after the movie. I had space on my paper, which never happens. So I was like, let me. I
didn't take as many notes just because I love this movie.
Yeah, I was enjoying the movie as well. The original version of this was like really undecided whether Fester was an imposter or not, which again I think is fucking insane. Like, he so clearly is part of this gaggle of freakazoids. What are you talking about?
But that's how you meld the Addams into the real world. That's how you, because if everyone in the world is going, well, I don't know if this is Fester Addams, that immediately sets the tone. That immediately tells you what kind of world you're living in.
But all I'm saying is, like, I think it's better if the people know, they're like, oh, obviously he's one of these people. But you're one of us, not one of them. And then the conflict is Fester not knowing where he belongs, and then ultimately being like, oh, this is my family. They love me. And even though, like, I've been with these other people for 2.5 decades. Like, this is my brother. He loves me. He's like trying to do his best. The efforts these people are putting forward have convinced me that I am part of this family. I don't need to get shocked by lightning to remember that I'm part of this family. That's where I'm like, no, you should just be like, oh, you're right. I love you. Like, the lightning part is where I'm like, huh? What are we doing here?
But that's the Addams Family.
The cast was like, hey, we really don't like the ambiguity of this. We think Fester should be Fester. And so the cast is talking about this, like, not with the director. And then they decide to elect a member of the cast to speak to the director. Do you know this?
I didn't know this, no.
Who do you think they
Christina
elected
Ricci.
to be the person? Yes! A 10-year-old!
Yeah, no shit! Because what monster is gonna turn down the 10-year-old who says, I think I can save the movie?
Yes. My last two production-y things. I think this is how this was in our house. You can correct me because you will know. Apparently, for Addams Family 2 and Wayne's World 2, there was a special deal cut with McDonald's to sell like a low-cost VHS. Did we have that tape? That feels like a tape that would have been in our house.
I think we had the Wayne's World tape.
It was Wayne's World 2 though. I don't remember. Like I watched Wayne's World a ton. I don't think I watched the sequel a bunch, but maybe we did have that tape.
I don't remember if we owned the Addams. I don't remember if we owned the Addams Family. I know I watched it quite a bit, but I don't think we owned it.
Okay, that I wasn't sure. Okay, and then my last one here, and this is like a real. I'm kind of joking, but I'm kind of not joking here. So this movie is written by Caroline Thompson, who also wrote Edward Scissorhands
and Nightmare Before Christmas,
Nightmare Before Christmas, and Corpse Bride, as well as Homeward Bound, which
my boyfriend's favorite movie,
a bunch of times as a kid.
I do not care for that movie.
I haven't seen it as an adult, but we definitely watched that a bunch as kids. But here's my question for you.
Kids?
I feel like and there was a sequel too, like The Incredible. There was like a second Homeward Bound.
I know there's a sequel, but I don't remember that movie like at all.
Maybe that was like a you're too young to remember, but I remember watching.
Maybe.
Thing. But here's the other question, and I'm like joking, but I'm kind of being serious. So I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, man, this is like extremely Edward Scissorhandsy in the production design, the set designs. So I start clicking through director of photography, cinematography, set designs, art direction, storyboard artists, and I can't find any overlap between these people. So either most of these people saw Edward Scissorhands and were like, oh, I guess we'll just do that. Or is it all in the scripts? Like, is part of what we consider the Tim Burton ethos Caroline Thompson ethos that she embedded into the scripts? Like, is there copious amounts of set design, decoration sort of stuff embedded in there? Because I feel like the look of this movie is so Edward Scissorhandsy, like so crazily similar in vibe, but it's a totally different production crew. And obviously people steal from each other, but I just was like, huh, like, well,
I mean,
woman
the
is like the
TV show
force.
had similar vibes. It had they clearly shifted it for the contemporary audience, but the 60s TV show had that sort of ostentatious, over-the-top gothic nature. It just looks different in the 60s versus the 90s.
I would agree with that, but it's more than that to me. It's the sort of like weird shapes of things and stuff. Like I've obviously not watched a ton of the Addams Family old show, but I was looking at some stills of the house and the cast while I was watching this because I was curious how much people looked like their counterparts. Gomez, very much so.
Yeah, Sean Astin's dad.
Old actor's name. Is it really Mackenzie? No, it's not Mackenzie Astin.
John Astin.
What the heck's his name? John Astin. Yes, Mackenzie's the brother. Yeah, he and Raul Julia look the obviously they look a little bit alike, which helps, but there's certainly a great design of character in the movies compared to the show, or referencing the show obviously. But I just felt like it was more than just
and the cartoons. The
the
comic strips also.
Okay, was there a TV cartoon?
There was at some point. Actually, there was, and Jodie Foster voiced Pugsley.
Is that right?
Yeah, like 10-year-old Jodie Foster with her husky
so this
voice.
is like is this like an 80s cartoon then?
I think it's a 70s cartoon. I think it's a Scooby-Doo era.
Okay. Because my wife was asking me if there was a cartoon, and I was like, I am certain the answer is yes, but I don't know it. Like,
yeah, there was a 70s era cartoon with Jodie Foster as Pugsley, and then there wasn't a 90s cartoon. Shockingly, you would think
that does feel like the moment was there, and also like
everything got a fucking kid show in the 90s.
Right, and also like some of these actors would have taken that check happily.
Mm-hmm. But then now that there's the animated TV show, the animated movies, the CGI movies.
Yes.
I'm assuming that somewhere down the pipeline there's going to be something. But
yeah. But yeah, I was as I was watching it, I was like, wow, is like Tim Burton's sort of whole weirdo goth artsy loner kid who sits by himself at lunch ethos, which permeates so much of his filmography, certainly the first quarter or third or half, however, wherever you decide to delineate it. I don't want to parse through that at this moment, but I was like, man, is it secretly all Caroline Thompson?
I don't
think
it is, just because Tim Burton does a lot of art for stuff like sketches and things to sort of give vibes, and all of his art looks like his movies. Like his little sketch of Jack Skellington looks exactly like that.
That makes sense. Yeah. I couldn't get over how similar this felt to me to Edward Scissorhands in all of its like design and vibe and stuff. And Barry Sonnenfeld is a person whose movies have like a very curated design and energy. And so obviously like this
He's
this
camp.
fits
Like
along with that.
That's he gets it. For a straight guy, he just gets it.
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of Barry Sonnenfeld's movies. Men in Black rules.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it recently, but
it really is a great. Like
I have no sugar water. Like that's burned in my brain for the rest of time.
Yeah, D'Onofrio. Everybody in that movie knows exactly what their part in this is, and it works tremendously. And the funniest thing I learned this not too long ago is that at one point Tommy Lee Jones very angrily was like, "Hey, are we making a comedy or a sci-fi movie?" And they were like, "Yes." And he was like, "You can't do both." And they were like, "We think it's fine though." And he was just like grumbly mad.
How grumbly old man is that?
Yeah. But he was just like, "You can't do both these things." And they were like, "I think it's fine. Thanks, Tommy." And he was just like, rah, 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 rah. And then obviously it was tremendously successful and was both.
Because to him, you're either making Alien or you're making, I don't know, Trading Places.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, I like Barry Sonnenfeld quite a lot.
Pushing Daisies.
Yes.
Which
also has this aesthetic.
Yeah, it's the same candy colored storybook heightened reality.
Storybook I like. I think Storybook is the one that clicks most for me. But anyway, we should start going through the movie, but I had a couple of like big thoughts at the top that I wanted to get through in this. But yeah, I know you don't agree with me, but I just really feel like if you make that little tweak, I like this movie like 5% better. And I get this is like a solid 3.5 with a like or borderline 4 stars on Letterboxd for me. It's a good movie. I enjoy it, but I just was like, I think I like this a little more if it's like the power of family and love and such.
See, I like that they did it that way because it helps sell the world of the Addams Family, because I think it, like, the opening sequence is a perfect example. It's taken straight from the comics. You see a bunch of Christmas carolers on the front steps of the Addams Family house, and you pan up to the sky and the whole family is on the roof. Like Gomez and Morticia are holding each other lovingly, and the kids are like looking over the ledge, and then Lurch and Grandmama are tipping a cauldron of like boiling oil or tar or something.
Yeah, something boiling, yeah.
You hear the bubbling and they pour it out, and then the camera goes in and it does like opening credits, but like there's no screaming of the carolers. There's no like aftermath of the carolers.
Right.
There's no police. There's no ambulance. There's no anything, which to me is how it has to be. Like the Addams exist in our world as like weird aliens, and they play by sitcom rules where whatever they do, everything gets reset. There's no real stakes.
Yeah.
And that to me is the biggest kind of rub with the Wednesday show, is that like it started to get too real.
Every other line in that show is like, "You're a freak."
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, the freaks and the normies," and I was like, "Okay, we're too much stupid, whatever."
Yeah,
but like
I will say casting very good. Obviously, everyone making Jenna Ortega just Christina Ricci 2.0. I find a little exhausting.
And Aubrey Plaza, general. It's like,
yeah, like she is a different person. It's okay that she can be her own person. I like Jenna Ortega a lot. I think she's an excellent actress. But I think Luis Guzman is an excellent Gomez.
He's very good. Really, I like that they went more comic strippy rather than like kind of handsome debonair movie.
He's still like. He still has the sort of joie de vivre of Gomez, even though he is objectively not as handsome as Raul Julia. Sorry, Luis, I do like you.
I like you a lot, but like Raul Julia is more attractive than you.
Yeah, but like you, more conventionally handsome man.
Seeing Luis Guzman's performance, you like Gomez fucks. Like you,
and he's got sexual charisma.
Yeah,
like he's
got riz,
that,
as
like,
the kids say.
Yeah. This is like not to go 27 streets down to sidetrack down, but like this is my beef with all of Dwayne Johnson's movies, is he has zero sexual charisma in them, and all of the time they give him these love interests. And I'm just like, if you're not gonna do that part and have him seem like a sexual creature, don't put a woman in there as his lady friend who he's going to smooch, because it looks like two siblings forced to kiss.
It looks like two Barbie dolls with their faces touching.
Yeah, one of my favorites is Rampage, which is like a delightful.
Oh, it is stupid. I like that one.
Okay, so you've seen it. Jeffrey Dean Morgan in that movie, his sexual charisma is off the fucking charts. Yeah. And there's like when they introduce him in that movie, he has his like, you know, Department of Justice belt buckle or whatever the fuck it is with 2 guns instead of on his hips over his crotch. They literally point to his dick, and it's like they pan down from like great smiling, you know, billboard face Jeffrey Dean Morgan down his chest to his dick where the guns are pointing at the penis. And it's just like, this guy has sexual charisma. What are you doing with Dwayne Johnson in this movie? He looks like a Ken doll.
It's because no one's allowed to have sex anymore because Gen Z's awful.
But I think that's also
you're all wearing fucking turtlenecks and brooches and Clinique almost lipstick, decrying sex in movies.
I think he is one of those actors is like, I don't want to do a lot of that in movies. I don't care. I don't want to.
I'm not saying we have to see his butt, but like, you're telling
you have seen his butt. He showed his butt in Ballers. There is a sex scene in Ballers.
I have not seen it, but like, but you can't have chemistry with a person,
right?
Like that's what I mean. It has to feel like you actually want to kiss the person,
right? Like a great example, Schwarzenegger in most of his movies is not like getting down, but you're like, well, that guy does get.
I
down.
get it.
I can see it in the performance. Yeah. Anyway, back to we got sidetracked on Luis Guzman. And speaking of sexual charisma, Mamma Mia, Raul Julia and Angelica Houston.
They fuck.
Like all of Raul Julia's characters that I've ever seen do have that. Even what is it, Zangief in Street Fighter? What's the name of the character?
I think it's Zangief. I think he's Zangief.
The insane like dictator guy.
No, that's not Zangief. Zangief is like the big beefy.
He has the red hat in Street Fighter. He looks like a Russian general.
Yeah, I don't think that's Zangief. I think.
Okay. People are going to be so mad. The tweets are coming.
No, it's not Zangief because Zangief is the big beefy guy with the chest hair. So okay. I don't think that's Zangief. Like if he were cast in a Street Fighter movie, I feel like you would cast like an Arnold Schwarzenegger type.
Sure. General Bison, M. Bison.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, so that's my thing is that we can't ascribe our world to the Addams. The whole point is that they are a subversion on the cookie cutter, white picket fence, Norman Rockwell American Family. That's the entire fucking point. And so, and like, I'm glad that other neurodivergent people identify with Wednesday Addams and all that, but like, I think it's a little bizarre.
Oh, interesting. I've never heard. That totally makes sense. I've just never heard it before.
So many people are like, Wednesday's autistic. And I'm like, it just seems weird to ascribe our psychology to the Addams Family, who are they're not human. Like that's the whole point.
Yeah. It's a big difference between being like, oh, Sheldon on the Big Bang Theory is on the autism spectrum versus Wednesday Addams, who is like a part of this weird menagerie of
like
monster people.
Sheldon Cooper is a human being who is a professor at a university. Like he exists in our world. He plays by our world's rules. The Addams Family doesn't. And so like I said, I'm
right. And honestly, the Addams Family, like, I think gets a little bit lumped into the Munster-y thing because
they do.
Like Lurch in particular, and I feel like they're fairly different. Like,
they're super different.
The Munsters does a lot more of the sort of fish out of watery stuff than these guys do, at least in what I've seen of the Addams Family.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I have not subjected myself to the Rob Zombie Munsters. So,
I tried.
Perhaps he takes it a different tack. I was like, I don't know.
We've had this conversation in front of the pod, 100%.
Okay.
So
that is very clearly like that. Yeah, that's just a very clearly a cheap movie that was not intended to get that much attention. That got a lot of attention because it was weird, and then it was just bad. And it's like, well, this was supposed to be cheap and bad. Like they gave him no money and were like, make this, and he was like, all right, I love the Munsters.
He was not good.
Not to defend Rob Zombie, who's a filmmaker I'm not the biggest fan of. Although, if anybody out there has a link to his Broad Street Bully script, I would love to read that.
Oh, really? Huh.
He spent like 3 years developing this Flyers movie, and I was like, this is such a bizarre combination of
is he a Philly guy?
And material. No, he's actually a big, I think a big Boston fan, hockey. He does love hockey, but I think he's a big Bruins guy. But he wanted to make this movie and it's like, 70s hockey players were fucking crazy people. Like there's a lot of colorful weirdos in that menagerie. And it's just like, you could make a really entertaining movie about, a slap shot that's less homophobic and misogynistic would be awesome. I'd love that.
Yeah, except every 20 minutes we're panning over and his wife is Sherry Moon just pressing her bare boobs against the glass at a hockey game.
I'm fine with that. That would be a perfect use of Sherry Moon Zombie if she didn't speak that much. She's not a very good actor.
He just wants us all to look at her boobs.
I know. It's like, Rob, I get it.
That joke is not misogynistic against Sherry Moon Zombie.
It's Rob.
It's
Zombie.
Against Rob Zombie, who's just like, hey, look at my wife's boobs. No, thank you.
It's like, I get it. Concentric circles within circles. It's very pleasing to the eye, but my God.
They're perfectly good boobs, but please stop.
It's honestly, it reminds me so much of that character in Summer Rental, where the wife is constantly like, would you take a look at these? And the husband's like, for fuck's sake, except this is the opposite. The husband's like,
would you take a look at these? Like, and Sherry Moon's just like rolling her eyes and taking her top off.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not really shy about it, but like, come on, Rob. That's how I take it. Anyway, I love the cuckoo clock that's just them smooching.
Oh, I think it's a motorboat. It's more of a motorboat.
Oh, is it? Okay. It has a smooch noise and not the, typical motorboat cartoon.
But the way that
she does lean back.
Yeah. She leans back and he leans forward.
I thought he was kissing her neck.
Maybe it is, but it could be anything.
I thought it was like a little bit like, sexual charisma neck smooches, but it could have been a motorboat.
And then Pugsley is hanging Wednesday on the lower level.
Yes, yeah. It's got a real Better Off Dead through line, and it's funny to me, having now watched this, how much you disliked Better Off Dead back in the day, because I feel like there's a lot of overlap in vibe.
But the problem is that Better Off Dead didn't have the right vibes for me. This and Heathers has the right vibes for me.
See, I also find that interesting because I don't think this and Heathers are like it's like the Venn diagram is two circles touching each other.
No,
and at least Better Off Dead, there's like a little sliver.
I disagree.
But Heathers is way meaner to me than this is. This has no meanness in it.
I agree, but it's one of those things that like this is a gay movie that isn't. Gay. Do you know what I mean? It's not gay. There's no gay characters. There's no gay plot, but it's a gay movie. Like,
I think both Morticia and Gomez are bisexual.
I mean, yeah, no way.
But no, like even in the movie, like he kind of like talks about a man being handsome. She talks about how beautiful the twins are. Like, there's not like this is much like the Dracula theory. Like all Draculas are bisexual.
All vampires. So
yeah.
When you're living forever, just do everyone.
That's what I said. All Draculas are bisexual.
I know, but you said Draculas.
Yeah, all vampires are Draculas canonically.
They're not all.
They all are sired. Yeah, it's like in the same way that Christians believe we all descend from Adam and Eve. All vampires must descend from Count Dracula. He is the first vampire. I mean, how else would it work? He's the first.
I didn't
vampire.
know he was the first vampire.
And then from him, whence the others came.
Nadia.
So all vampires are Draculas. This is my theory. I'm sticking to it.
Sure.
Nadia and
Laszlo.
And Laszlo are absolutely a Gomez and Morticia.
Uh-huh.
Like there is the creation of those characters owes a lot to characters like these.
That's the other thing. But in the TV show, Gomez and Morticia were one of the very few married couples on TV that were like very affectionate. Yeah. Beyond like a kiss on the cheek and here's your cup of coffee on your way out to work. Like he was kissing up her arm and they weren't fucking, but like
right. It was 1964 black and white television,
but it was very clear that they were gonna like they weren't shying away from like we can't do this.
Yeah. You got a longer leash when you had the weirdos in that day. I feel like Lucy and Desi were like a pretty standard couple, so they couldn't get away with as much. But they're like, well, that's a Dracula and a Bride of Frankenstein, so we can do whatever we want with them.
Exactly. But also, it became a stand-in for like not white people. Like
sure,
pretty much everything in the Addams Family TV show that like they were interested in, and it was like weird. It was quote unquote weird to white people. It was like I do yoga and that's weird. Now that's every other street corner has a yoga studio.
Right. We get the first of our amazing key lights on Angelica Houston here as she's lying in bed.
If I had fuck you money, I would pay to always have this lighting.
Key light.
I want a key light at all times, no matter where I go.
And then I love does he say "En garde mon soul"?
En garde le soleil.
Le soleil. Okay.
Because he speaks Italian and Spanish, and she speaks French.
Yeah. But he's like, actively fighting the sun, which I think is quite good. And it's like instantly you're like, man, these two fuck. Like it is constant with these two.
Like every night, if not multiple times a day, they're fucking.
Yeah. We're doing our first golf scene where Gomez is golfing and hitting golf balls directly into his neighbor's house, which is, I have to say, a pretty shitty behavior.
Well, I think that, again, that kind of speaks to, like, they don't care about broken windows. They don't care about, like, to them, it's whatever.
Yeah. And it's a great kids movie gag of, like, the golf ball lands in the bowl of cereal, makes a big mess, and the guy, Gomez!
Robot house!
Yeah, exactly, the energy. This guy is a great, stodgy bureaucrat type. Morticia is just like inexplicably cutting all the tops off the roses.
That's from the show.
It's not that thing is like, it's not a rose bush. Someone purchased her a dozen long stem roses and she is systematically cutting the heads off.
No, she's cutting them from her rose garden, from her rose bush, and putting them into the vase.
Okay. But then in the vase,
and then cutting the heads off. She wants the thorns.
Okay. Yeah. It's just this, thunk of the heads being chopped off is really good stuff. The great Dan Hedaya is their
Cher's
lawyer.
dad.
He is a tremendously entertaining actor. Sorry, I'm gonna spill. We have a review I was gonna read at the end of the show, but I'm gonna do it now because I think Dan Hedaya. This movie is a cavalcade of character actors.
Yeah.
You got Christopher Lloyd. You got Dan Hedaya. And we had this argument before. I don't want to rehash the argument necessarily, but these are examples of the people I was talking about where it's like they come in, they're usually like the 6th or 7th or 5th person on the casting sheet. And then, that's sort of where their whole career lies. They have a great career there. And that's why I thought Paul Giamatti was interesting because like Giamatti lived in this space for a long time, but now he is elevated to star. But we did get a review that really disagreed with me. So I'm going to read that now instead of at the end of the show.
Would you call Anjelica Houston a character actress?
I don't know enough about her career to answer that question with any level of confidence. Is what I know. That's like a shitty. I'm not trying to duck you. I just don't know enough about her. My gut feeling with her is that like she's like the out and out lead sort of the witches, right? And then she's kind of the lead of this movie a little bit. So maybe she's a borderline case. I don't know enough about her general career. This is a review from Hart Paul on Apple Podcasts from the 17th. It's been a while since we recorded. 5 stars. Thank you, Hart Paul. Title, you can be both a star and a character actor. Example, Marjorie Main. Of course, Hollywood is very different now, but I still think you can definitely be both. Hard to disagree with the other point of view. And I have to say I had to Google who Marjorie Main was because I did not know.
I did too, I'll be honest.
It reminded me of that Marjorie Main is the Ma Kettle of Ma and Pa Kettle, which is a very old film series. I think that's like the 40s or 50s. But like, I swear one of our tapes of something had like the opening trailers had a Ma and
coming
Pa Kettle
soon
thing.
to video.
Yeah. And like the entire Ma and Pa Kettle set. And then it was like this old lady and old man getting into their old people hijinks. And I remember as a kid being like, who wants to watch that? Put on Little Rascals. Like,
you know what? I bet it was the Little Rascals. Now that you say that, 100%.
That is why I said that. Yeah, because it was like they probably were doing like, if you like these Little Rascals, you'll like their black and white counterparts from 40 years ago that are borderline public domain. Also, try Ma and Pa Kettle. So that's why I brought it up. But Hedaya to me is like a quintessential character actor.
Yeah,
always shows up. It's like a person you can plug in who'll get you a nice double every time. It's like you're consistently going to get good production out of them. That's what you're looking for with them. But he comes in as the lawyer and the gate. I think, does she call it gatey? She has like a pet name for the gate that is attacking.
I thought it was just Gate.
Okay, it might just be Gate. But the fence, literally the gate of the house attacks him, like rips his coat, and then he starts fencing with Gomez in the house.
And then his wife is there, who I know her from other things too, but I love her in these movies because they actually
her name's Dana Ivey, by the way, the actress.
Because in this movie she ends up falling in love with Cousin It, and in the sequel she's like married to Cousin It in the sequel. It's great follow through on their part.
Yeah. She gets stuck in like a finger trap, but this one is like ornate and made of gold.
It's like a metal, like a clamp down kind of finger trap.
Yeah. And so they have to like teach her the mechanism. Hedaya seems to be doing like some sort of scam with the fact that Fester's been missing so long. They want to like move his money into these offshore accounts. Yada yada yada. So it never really gets any further than this.
He says, "Oh, I'm going to put them in my name for tax purposes," right. Which I think is interesting because in the original TV show, like the Addams at one point found out that their tax rates were going down, so they ran for office to bring them back up.
Oh, interesting. They were
like, how dare they not make us pay more?
We're too rich. Okay, interesting.
Because they're again part of like the subversion of American culture was like, we are
sure
incredibly passively wealthy. None of us have a job, and we love taxes. Like,
we want to be part of the community.
Yeah, they're like we should be paying 10% or whatever the hell.
Yeah. That's great. A lot more than 10%. I hope.
I mean, in the 60s, who knows?
They seem to be billionaires. Yeah,
and that's the thing.
In the 60s, it was worse. Elvis was in the 90% tax bracket.
Oh wow.
In the 50s,
I feel like the Addams are the only ethical billionaires. I'm gonna put that on a T-shirt. The Addams family are the only ethical billionaires.
We get the first great book gag where the book is gone with the wind, and Hedaya opens it and it blows wind in his face.
Like clearly just like a leaf blower aimed right at his mug.
Yeah. But a really great setup for this joke that's going to be a runner throughout the movie. Really well done. And a great kids movie joke. This feels like something that would have been on the Animaniacs.
Oh, yeah. Or, no, it's the one with Macaulay Culkin and
The Page
Master.
100% that exact joke might be in The Page Master, for all we know.
That's got to be streaming somewhere, right? Whoopi Goldberg, Tim Curry, I think.
That's one of those. Is that a Don Bluth?
It's definitely a Don Bluth.
Okay. Because it's like, if it's not a Don Bluth, I bet it sucks.
I'm pretty sure it's Don Bluth, but also it's got Whoopi, it's got Tim, it's got...
Yeah, but there's just a lot of kids content that's sort of shit out. And I feel like Don Bluth and then Disney in that specific era is like a trustworthy name for a cartoon for kids.
It is. I wonder, do you know if that Once Upon a Forest environmental movie I watched as a kid?
Are you talking about Fern Gully?
No, I was not a Fern Gully kid. I was a Once Upon a Forest kid.
Okay.
Again,
I do not. I have to tell you. You put a gun to my head. I couldn't tell you anything about Once Upon a Forest.
Buckle the fuck up. Actually, look. Can you look up what year that came out? Because maybe that'll be my next in April. Maybe I'll bust that chestnut out. Once Upon a Forest was an environmental children's movie about like anthropomorphic animals living in a little forest.
93. This looks bad. This looks cheap.
So. It's these like rambunctious little animal kids.
You know what this looks like? I'm looking at some like screenshots of the movie and the thing. Do you remember the short-lived cartoon about the rats that lived in the White House? Might have been called like Capital Critters.
We had one of their toys, and they were gross and and squishy like a stress ball, and they were sticky.
Yeah. I remember it was like something Mom taped, and we had the like we had the pilot maybe.
The RCA, like home tape.
Yeah. And I remember watching it a ton, and then it's like, where does this cartoon live? And at the time, it was like, you're a kid. It doesn't exist. If it, if it's not on TV, it doesn't exist. So I just remember watching this tape a ton.
But yeah, Once Upon a Forest, these little kids, and then a truck driver throws a bottle out a window, and the bottle shatters except for the bottom, looks like a crown. And then like an 18-wheeler carrying like poisonous gas runs over it
my God.
And crashes, and all of their parents die. And then
All right, maybe I won't.
Their wise old man teacher who like is.
They have a master splinter. How does he not die?
Because he scooped up his like ward. I guess I can't remember what her deal was, but he has like a ward who's like a baby, and they're like, she's inhaled too much smoke. Poison smoke. You all have to get in my Da Vinci style flying machine and go fly to pick up these ingredients that we need for a poultice to make her better.
So it's not only a Ferngully rip, it's also ripping off the Out of Time book that M. Night Shyamalan ripped off for the
I don't think it's ripping off Out of Time because they know that it's not like they're actually humans in costumes.
They're in a Da Vinci flying machine. That seems crazy.
Yeah, he built a flying machine. It's on the cover. And then they have to do all that, and then at the end they find out some humans are good. It's very ham-fisted because.
So the overall message is like,
you can be a good human because like the mole gets stuck in a trap and all of his clothes fall off, so he like looks like a normal ass mole, and then a human like helps him out of the trap and like brushes him off or something.
Excellent.
It's 93 though, so it's not eligible yet.
Yeah, yet. Wow. I recently watched a crazy movie with Denzel and John Lithgow that is already eligible called Ricochet that I'm going to figure out how to program, but I could give you a similar rundown, but I want you to watch the movie, so okay. I'm going to just let you wait. But it is similarly insane. Not in any way related, but just also bonkers.
If anyone else has watched Once Upon a Forest, give us a tweet.
Once Upon a Forest. Say hello. The other person who watched Once Upon a Forest. You can have a club of 2. Anyway, we're doing a seance. We're trying to summon Fester.
Well, also we see Christopher Lloyd in Uncle Fester drag in a George Costanza wig and Miami Vice blazer.
Yeah. Well, it's a brown blazer. I don't know if it's
I thought it was white. I thought it was a white blazer.
Huh. Maybe you're right. I thought it was brown, but it's irrelevant. That's fine. You might be right. I'm sorry. It's also it's definitely sort of Costanza, but there's another person who has this similarly like real tight curl. Like it's not like Screech's is a little wilder.
Yeah,
but it's like in a Screech zone.
I'm trying to think. It's not a Seinfeld.
I thought the seance happened before the whole thing in Hidea's office.
No, it's Hidea's office, and then they have the seance because the seance is where Fester shows up.
Okay, so yeah, we meet Fester in his costume and as Gordon, who he's lived as Gordon for 25 years. So Fester seems like, I don't know, 55.
They're ageless. That's 50. The point.
Okay, but like he got lost. The part of it that I found perplexing, again, I found this like particular piece of the movie, like it really stuck in my craw. I was like, all right, so he's like 55, say, right?
No, because I think we watched the video of like, this is the night of our fight, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're teenagers
so
in
he's
that
like
video.
16. Okay, so he's supposed to be like 40 then.
Yeah, I would say 40-ish.
40-ish, okay. Because like they found him in a tuna net, and then she raised him as her own for 2.5 decades. But he was like not a baby. That's the part where I'm like, I don't understand. Like he had like a whole relationship and stuff with his brother. That's why I was just confused. And I stand behind. Right, I'm just saying, I stand behind my thing of like, if it was love and not a lightning bolt out of a book, I would probably like it better.
Quicksand, tornadoes, the 3 biggest fears for anyone raised on 90s media. That one day you could hit your head and suddenly you don't know anything.
You don't know anything at all.
And all of a sudden Sandy Bullock is at your bedside telling your whole family that she's your wife.
I've never seen that movie, but I'm desperate to. I'm so desperate to watch this movie. It seems so wild. Maybe we should just do it for the podcast. That's just my wife has seen it and was like, I'd watch it again. And it's
really?
Like, I'm always like, you want to do while you were sleeping? And she's like, nah. All right. Anyway, there's a great bit of like, they're doing a seance. They're like, knock if you're here. There's a literal knock at the front door, which they're all like, huh? And then he does it again. And then he comes walking in, having lost the Costanza wig.
Yeah. Which to me, it's so funny that they, do you think, I assume it was a bald cap that they put on, or do you think they shaved his head?
I This movie was like a 3.5 month production. I think if it was a bald cap, at some point you got to be like, fuck it. This is too much.
So it means they shaved his head and then glued a wig on for that first scene.
The Gordon wig is definitely
fully a wig. I was just thinking, like, did they bald cap him and then put a wig on top of the bald cap?
You would have to, right? You know this better than me, but I feel like you'd have to do that.
Oh yeah, if he wasn't shaved, then it was a bald cap under a wig, which is hilarious to me. And now
he says that he was in the Bermuda Triangle, and so he's like kind of lost there. And then this is where I was like, how did we not get Addams Family 3 Tropical Vacation to the Bermuda Triangle? Yeah. How great would it have been? You got the whole Addams Family.
If we couldn't get Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian, they were not going to bankroll the Addams Family Goes Bermuda.
I just feel like it's a no-brainer because those Hotel Transylvania movies eventually took this gag and it works. It's like a cruise ship.
Well, that was like 30 years later.
I'm just saying it was right there in this opening film. They were like, "Oh, this could have been it." Like, think about it. You got Raul Julia. I mean, he died very quickly after this movie, so maybe
he did the sequel at least. So it would have been
Street Fighter's 94, and he was literally dying while making that. Yeah, and then like that movie wrapped, and he died.
Cancer.
I think that's right.
Or a stomach illness or something.
I thought it was a form of cancer. I'm gonna verify, so we're not here being complete idiots. Oh, he had a stroke.
I thought he was having like stomach issues.
Maybe the stroke was related. Sometimes having one issue begets another. Oh, I was looking at his Wikipedia on my phone, so every single thing is tipped open. I was like, why is it so hard to read through this stuff? I also saw that kids would recognize it was stomach cancer. So he had suffered from stomach cancer, undergone surgery for it. Then he got food poisoning in Mexico. Was airlifted to a hospital in LA to get medical attention, recovered, was resumed filming, and then had more complications. And ultimately it was a stroke that killed him. Yeah. Also, apparently he was going to be in Desperado, which would have been a really interesting. Wonder who he was supposed to be. Oh, he was going to be like the second build guy. Okay. All right. Anyway, enough Tripp reads Wikipedia as a podcast. That is not a podcast. That is Tripp reading Wikipedia.
Also, anyway, his mother is now posing as a German psychiatrist who's been caring for him.
Sorry. Wait. Can't you just see like they're on the beach and it's Pugsley and Wednesday in the normal Pugsley and Wednesday outfits, and they like. Wednesday pops the beach ball when it comes over.
Well, no, Pugsley is in like a Victorian strongman bathing suit.
Yeah.
And Wednesday's in the same thing with a little skirt on it. One of those. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. But then she just like, she pulls out a hat pin and just like.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And Morticia.
Or she's petting a shark or some shit.
Yeah. And then like, Morticia and Gomez are sitting on lounge chairs and drinking Mai Tais in just like again Victorian era bathing costumes.
Yeah, or
Fester is in the fish tank with the shark. Actually, is what I think.
No, Fester's being buried in the sand by the kids.
Okay.
Up to his little head. I like this.
Anyway, should have existed. Sad that it doesn't.
I love there's a bunch of great lines that I've written down, but when Morticia's like, "Oh, I'll help you unpack Fester," and he's freaking out because in his mind, he's an imposter. And he's like, she's gonna wonder why I have all this like murdery, robbery shit. And obviously, she's an Addams. She's unfazed by anything. But the best is she picks up this bottle and goes, "Cyanide, Fester, as if we'd run out." And like, it's just so great little world building.
Yeah, it is. It's actually,
there are no rules. There is no death for an Addams.
The thing, not to be a broken record, but the way that this scene felt to me when I first watched it is that she doesn't trust him and she thinks he's an imposter, and she sort of plays the first chunk of the movie that he is an imposter, and that's where I was just like, this man could literally not be anybody but an Addams. What are we talking about?
Because that's the world we're in, baby.
But the thing is, like, all of their friends are freakazoids, and then there are the normies, like the normies exist.
Yes, but that's the point, is that in this world, they're like, ooh, that's weird, but there's not like a whole to do about it.
the way that it would work under its current thing would to me be that he, like, when we were introduced to him with his Costanza wig, he didn't have like pale white skin and giant black rings around his eyes. Like he just looked like if he just was a normal, like it was like the
Built
scene
the
in
same.
the original Batman. Yeah, but like it's like the scene in the original Batman where they put the white makeup on Jack Nicholson and then like skin tone on top of it. Obviously that may not be how they actually made the movie, but like when they make Jack Nicholson, whose face in
they
the
put him in the
canon of film
prosthesis,
is dyed white,
then
he looks just like regular skin tone. Like if this had been like exactly the same dimensions and body type, but they were like, oh no, we're gonna powder you to make you white and put the black ring around your eye and shave your head. So he was like being an imposter. That part I'd be like, oh okay. So I wonder if like it was more like that, and then they were like, no, Christina Ricci decided that they're not gonna do that.
yeah, well,
so
also
we
for
won't.
a kids movie, because I mean it is a family movie, but like when you're catering to the kids, like make it simple.
No, yeah, I don't think mine is that complicated. If they just like made him an imposter, then it would be more interesting. And then it was like, no, actually, I want to be with these people. I don't know.
Well, then he's not Fester.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like pick one. You picked neither. That's why I don't like that part.
They pick that he actually is Uncle Fester.
But then he still thinks he's an imposter for
Yeah.
the whole movie. That part, I'm like, that just doesn't work for me. Anyway.
Also, you can see Baby Ricci's star quality.
Sure.
First, like it's like with Macaulay Culkin. Like there's even though they're so young, there's just an it factor to them.
Absolutely, yeah. I love the way that Christopher Lloyd gets into bed. It's like a very specific bit of business as an actor that he approaches the bed, spins around backward, and then like kicks his legs straight up in the air and goes like horizontal on his back. He almost does like a Fosbury flop, like a Olympic high jump with a pole vault, rather. And then we cut to Morticia and Gomez. Gomez is smoking a cigar in bed, which I found buck wild.
And he's a cigar man.
No, I know he is, but he's just like casually having a cigar in bed. It just seems like a high stakes endeavor.
Well, like you mean for burns? Like fires?
More like just getting ash everywhere. Like it's just like with a cigarette, you like take a puff, you ash it, you take a puff, you ash it, take a puff, you ash it. With a cigar, you're not supposed to really ash it. You're supposed to like let it just naturally fall when it falls.
Yeah, but you can still lean over. Like you can see that it's gonna happen.
Yeah. But all I could think of is like this guy must be getting ash in the bed like once a week minimum.
Possibly.
We go to breakfast. All of the food scenes are weird nonsense, and it's very fun.
I love it's gloopy. It's wet gloop.
Yeah. It doesn't even seem like you could eat it.
No, 100%. It looks like kids show food. Like
yes,
your old babysitter,
animated kid show food, where it's just like a couple of scribbles.
Your ancient babysitter made you gross spinach or something.
Yeah, and it's just like green squigglies. We go down to the vault, which is insanely complex, which is a kids movie.
It's very Casper.
Kids movie staple. I was literally about to get to Casper. Of just like it was just all inventors made it truly insane to get to their invention place.
Except
also, I feel like Nothing But Trouble does the same kind of business where it's just like there's a crazy roller coaster launcher thing. The one with Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase and what's her face Demi Moore, and like it's
Did we do it?
Bizarre. No.
Okay.
It is one that I've been like, do we want to subject ourselves to this? Because it's a bizarre movie. John Candy plays like multiple roles in it, including a woman.
Oh, that's that one. Yeah.
Yes, and Dan Aykroyd also plays this like disgusting shit baby twin thing.
Creature. I'm now remembering the poster.
He has a penis nose at one point.
Mm-hmm. The poster. I've seen the poster.
Okay. Well, Dad put it on one night, and the part where
as an adult or as a child.
No, I was a wee one, and there are fewer specific dad movie memories, but this is one.
Poseidon
Put it on. Poseidon Adventure. Stay tuned. Which is a great happy memory, and not that this one is funny to me now, but at the time scared me shitless. But this movie is like this is the only movie Dan Aykroyd got to direct, and when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, of course, this is it. Yeah. But it's like a horror comedy that is just like kind of weird and disgusting and gross. But at one point, the evil judge like sentences people and they fall down into a roller coaster, and the roller coaster launches them into this machine that literally eats them. Like it spits bones out on the other side, the bone crusher. And I, as a kid, was just like, ah! It was like roller coasters are already the scariest thing in the world to me, and this one literally eats you at the end. Oh my God, this is real. Yeah. Maybe one day we'll do another movie show. I haven't revisited, but everything I've heard from other people who have is like, ugh.
Yeah, I've heard it's not good, but
yeah, it's probably a decent podcast springboard. Maybe we'll do it for Candied Yams.
Maybe, but so the Addams Family has
maybe that'll be our tie-in to the next Ghostbusters movie.
Oh, the icy one.
Yeah. It kills me. It kills me that the franchise that finally figured out make it icy and make it interesting is the sequel to that mediocre Ghostbusters sequel.
I never saw that one.
It's fine. Like, it's completely fine. It is so clearly a reactionary response to people being like, there's no, get your clothes out, my Ghostbusters.
4 female Ghostbusters. The feminists are taking over. I'm an adult virgin. If anyone knows that vine.
Literally, the ghost of Harold Ramis is a significant character in the movie.
Like in CG, like with AI and shit?
Both as like wind and light reflections around the room, and then at the end of the movie, spoilers, literally like a drawing of him as a ghost helping.
Wait, hang on. When you say light around the room, do you mean like Tinkerbell in a shitty regional production of Peter Pan, where it's just a dot of light?
It's better done than what you're describing, but the vibe is the same. There's a bit where the like nerdy little granddaughter discovers his secret lab, and the ghost of Harold Ramis like helps her find the stuff in the lab so that she learns the thing she needs to learn.
Okay.
It's like the lamp turns on, and then like underneath the lamp is the book he wants her to look at.
Gotcha.
And then like
is that streaming anywhere?
Like the chair swivels, and there it goes. I don't know. You'll have to look it up on Just Watch. You will have the same reaction I did, which is like, there's nothing offensive about this, but like, why did you make this comedy such an action Stranger Things thing?
Because that's what people want. People love to pretend Ghostbusters isn't a fucking comedy.
Right. It's like it's a goofball comedy that happens to have
it's a slobs v snobs, except
it's a classic slobs v snobs, except that 1/4 of the creative people behind it is a fucking lunatic for ghost shit and was like, it's gotta be ghosts, and they were like, all right, Dan, but like we're gonna cut down some of this. No, there's gotta be a ghost blowjob. I gotta get a ghost blowjob, and they're like,
your ghost
absolutely
beach.
Not. Yeah, like absolutely not. He's like, nope, I won't do the movie if there's not a ghost blowjob.
We'll give you a ghost beach if in the future we'll do one ad for your fucking Crystal Skull vodka company.
Right. It's like, okay, fine, we'll film the ghost blowjob, and they're like, we'll just cut it out later. And then they were like, we're like 4 minutes short. We got to do a montage. We got to put the ghost blowjob in. And he's like, yeah, gotta have the blowjob. It's the most important part of the movie.
Yeah, it slobs.
And most importantly, when I get it, I'm gonna cross my eyes and go, ay.
Like, it's slobs v snobs v blobs.
Yeah. And to be fair, I love Ghostbusters. It's extremely entertaining.
But that scene's weird.
Yeah.
The ghost beach is fucking weird.
Yeah. Oh, I was just trying to say that, like, I don't think, like, it's not. We're not ripping into the movie to describe it this way. Like, it's just what it is. It's a slobs v snobs movie.
That's just the description.
Yeah. And also, I do have to say, sorry, we're doing a lot of Ghostbusters content, and I do apologize. But, like, my biggest beef with it is, like, again, they do the same fucking thing as Ghostbusters 2, and I'm sorry, but if in 1984 a fucking hole opened up over New York City and ghosts poured out of it, and then a fucking building-sized marshmallow creature got turned into goo, this would not be something that people didn't know about in 2018 or 2020 or whatever the fuck that movie takes place. Like, sorry, kids born after 9/11 know 9/11 happened. It was a big deal.
Like, I think the political climate has proven that there are people that will say it wasn't real, and then there will be a lot of other people that assume that those people are telling the truth. Because social media is a hellscape.
if you did what you described in the movie, it would be 10 times more interesting than the part where Paul Rudd is like, what do you mean you guys don't know about the Ghostbusters? Look, let me pull up a YouTube video and teach you about this. It's like, motherfucker, a hole opened up over New York City and all of the ghosts that ever existed poured out of it. The Titanic.
Did he pull it up on his Motorola R550 phone on his YouTube app?
It's there's a fucking Walmart commercial in the middle of the movie where Paul Rudd goes shopping
the baby Mallows.
and the fucking mini Stay Puffs.
They're cute though.
But it's like it's just a fucking Walmart commercial.
They're cute though.
It's crazy.
Apparently the new Mean Girls does that really badly too.
You're the knives are gonna come for me, but I found the car commercial in the middle of Barbie pretty outlandish.
I didn't even notice it.
The like suddenly America Ferrera is like a trained stunt driver and is in a getaway chase, and they're just like Chevy or whatever car logo it was.
But here's the thing, because you can't remember the logo, what car company it was. I think that's more forgivable.
You're correct. It is definitely more forgivable than the Walmart scene I'm talking about in the Ghostbusters
or all the Schick promotion
and also
Avengers.
No, that was the other.
It was Gillette. It was Gillette.
Yeah. To be clear, I understand this is just part of the soup now, and I should get over it. I'm an old man yelling at a cloud. I understand that.
No, I have product placement is a thing. Yeah, I have
there's product placement in this movie, which I wanted to get to later.
I have umbrage with with my Motorola 4550. I can use location sharing, or apparently in this new
they don't do that.
Apparently in this new Mean Girls. Someone goes, I love your eyeshadow. And they go, thanks. It's Jungle Cat Fever from Elf. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, that's too much. You could maybe say Elf and I'll give it
Jump
to you.
off a cliff.
You can't fully name the product. I'm sorry.
Unless you're at a drag show. That's not what anyone actually wants to hear you say.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's one of those things. In real life, you would want the person to say that, but in movies, that's just eye roll worthy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, where the hell were we? I got really sidetracked. Oh, the vault. We're doing the
they're in a
vault.
Phantom of the Opera boat.
Yes, it is a Phantom of the Opera boat, and it's also like a fully Italian gondola. And Gomez even puts on the little.
Well, that's the Phantom of the Opera boat. It's a pole.
You're right. It is a pole. I forgot.
It's the flooded.
Yeah, you're totally
underbelly
right.
of the Paris Opera House.
Yeah. That I enjoyed the play, the musical, or whatever the term should be there. I enjoyed the performance we went to, but it is insane that you're like, wait a minute. Underneath this opera house is
the flooded catacombs?
A flooded catacombs that he can navigate by boat, and also is like enough space for an apartment that's not like a dank basement.
Oh, wait till you see the movie where there's a horse down there too that disappears.
He has a horse?
He does a boat to a horse to his place, and then the horse disappears.
Is there also a sequence in the movie where they shoot fireworks at each other? Because I have to tell you, that was probably my favorite part, when it goes like full pro wrestling.
I think there are pyro. I think there is a lot of pyro in the movie, but it's also
okay.
It's not a great movie.
The Broadway version, which has closed, and I was supposed to reopen and be like a cheaper, smaller, slightly less good version, the version I saw, they fully have Roman candles in like a fancy scepter that he shoots at the guy.
Yeah, it's when he shows up in the big skull mask, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's like standing far away from him, but he's just like, thoom, thoom, thoom. It's like watching two rednecks have a Roman candle fight with like a trash can lid and a Roman candle. Okay. We're in the vault. They're having like bro time. It's also kind of like a secret clubhouse for the two of them. In addition to literally
it's a little
storing
bit Christmas vacation.
Riches. Yes. And meanwhile, we're killing Pugsley. We're
gonna play a game. Pugsley, is there a god? So good.
Yeah. Is this the electric chair one?
Yeah. So Pugsley does a dog guillotine, which is like a classic visual from the comics and the show.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday sets up an electric chair for him. There's also a great line from Raul Julia while he and Christopher Lloyd are looking at the home movies. And
I love that they're wearing Pugsley's outfit, by the way. They're both wearing the striped shirt and the black pants, yeah.
But Christopher Lloyd obviously doesn't know anything about this history in his life. So he's like, "Oh, this night was special," and then Christopher Lloyd goes, "Your first cigar," and Raul Julia goes, "I smoked since I was 5. Mother insisted."
Yeah, really, really delightful. Morticia and Gomez seem to have sort of like a fin-dom thing going on here in this next sequence.
I think it's just, again, that they don't give a shit about money. Like,
yeah,
in a very un-American way, they just don't give a shit about having money,
well,
money.
When you have infinite money, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, when you can Rosebud 25 or whatever it was in The Sims.
Oh, the cheat code.
Yeah, when you can Rosebud cheat code your way to getting money, who cares?
This is when we find out that Gomez is a train guy, which I think is incredibly accurate.
Yes,
this is definitely the vibe of a train. He definitely has the vibe of a train guy.
Well, this is also Fester gets his fingers caught in the trap, and he asks how to get it off, and it kind of sets off the whole family being like, "Oh, you're not Fester."
Yes.
And then Barry Sonnenfeld is in the train. There's one person on this toy train, like a real person.
That really threw me for a loop where we hear Gomez going like, "Oh, ah, ah, ah," and we cut inside the train and the man is riding it. And I'm like, wait a minute. What's happening?
Yeah, we have a person. Don't question it.
We go on a little graveyard stroll. We're having some suspicions about...
Morticia has a fabulous cloak on.
She does. We got some suspicions about Fester and whether he's like on the up and up and what's going on here.
The Addams Family motto is
that's the other thing too. It's like if you disappeared for 25 years and you walked through the door, I feel like there's like no chance I don't recognize you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the part where I'm just like, he's got to know this is his brother.
Yes, but he's also now asking like things that he would know. Like, yeah, it would be like if I was like, who is Elizabeth Shue? That would be a weird thing that I didn't know that.
Sure. Yeah, I agree.
Or how do I make, or what's onion dip? Like, these are the things that for our family you should know.
I agree. It's weird.
And the Addams Family motto is "We gladly feast upon those who would subdue us." And I just always love that.
I do have one other beef. Lurch's bed is way too small. He seems like a very helpful, nice man. He deserves a bed he can actually fit in.
Yeah,
that is my beef with the Addams Family. That is, you're not treating this man with the appropriate respect he deserves. I know he's a Frankenstein or whatever, but
frankly, he should have just had a metal slab.
Yeah, that would be fine as long as it was big enough for him to actually, lay down upon. The faux mama of Gordon / Fester tries to like help him out with the struggle he's having.
A bunch of fake psychology.
Yes,
I didn't hate my mother. It was an accident.
I don't remember what the next scene is, but I just wrote down Raul Julia, what a king, and then Fester teaches bombs. So I'm not sure what happens in between the two things, but whatever it was, I was very impressed with it.
Raul Julia does a great performance, like putting together the pieces that Dr. Pinderschloss is putting down of like, this is Fester, you need to just believe me.
Yeah.
And then Fester starts helping the kids with their fencing and all of that. And then the brothers have a little bit of golfing.
Oh, I like that one of them is left-handed and one of them is right-handed, so they can swing while facing each other. That's a cute thing.
And then this next scene is just like Morticia especially, but Gomez too and Grandma too. Their faces are so shady.
Yeah,
it's like exactly.
They're so bored of this children's. They look like the faces of people whose children are not at the recital who have been forced to attend.
But it's like even when the teacher is talking to Morticia.
Yes.
And Morticia.
Oh yes. Yeah.
She's like side-eyeing all these kids, being like, "This kid chose the president as his hero," and Morticia's like, "Uh-huh." And
then I forget who the person picked, but she's like, "Did you talk to their parents about that?"
Oh, it was
a woman, I think, but I don't recall what her claim to fame was.
Yeah.
It was a person of note at the time that I
1991, a household name.
Yeah.
Clearly not anymore.
It's like when you play an old copy of
Trivial Pursuit.
Taboo. Oh, I was gonna say Taboo, and it's like I remember very distinctly we had a thing that was like, you couldn't say like testicular cancer with Katie Couric. And we were like, what? And mom was like, oh, her husband very famously had testicular cancer. And I was like, that's like a thing people would, and it was like, well, at the time it was probably something she was talking about on the Today Show every day or whatever, you know, like my husband's doing well or whatever. But it was just like, huh? What do you mean you can't say testicular cancer? I might be getting the details wrong, but it was
something to that effect. Yeah.
It was a type of cancer her husband had. I just picked testicular because, like, obviously Katie Couric did not have testicular cancer. So they're the pageant, and then Pugsley and Wednesday do basically Evil Dead the musical or the Monty Python Black Knight sequence.
This like beautiful blood spray. The audience is completely soaked.
Yes,
the shot, the still shot of the audience completely soaked and horrified is great.
Yes. Yeah, and the classic, like, the actors had closed their eyes and they open them. There's just like the very white circles of their eyes because of the rest of their face.
You can't squint you can't squint your eyes too hard if that happens.
Yeah. Oh, also, did you recognize that the 6-foot turkey kid from Jurassic Park was in the pageant? Okay, he plays the Dan Hidea's kid. Mm-hmm. It's I wrote it down as Shakespeare via Monty Python.
Yeah, it's fake Shakespeare. It's Shakespeare. It's not a real show.
Oh, okay.
Which is so funny to me that like there are.
Yeah, it's public domain. Why didn't you just pick a scene from Shakespeare?
Yeah, why did you bother writing anything?
Yeah, that's very funny. We get a little coffin sleeping and some moonlight moon eyes for Gomez and Morticia
on a stone couch in their cemetery. So the couch is a headstone for some Addams member.
Yeah, it looks like a dingy couch, and then at one point, one of them scooches, and you can see that there's writing on it, and I was like, oh my god, it's a headstone. Jesus.
Yeah, the stone couch is a headstone. So they say they're going to throw a party for Fester since he's leaving.
Oh, also during that, the mom tried to sneak into the house, and she got grabbed by some Evil Dead vines, and she gets found by Lurch in the morning, who has to like cut her free of these vines that have ensnared her.
Yes.
I guess it's less Evil Dead vines and more whatever that stuff's called in Harry Potter. Devil's Snare?
Yeah, that's it. That's right. But Gomez goes, Tish, how long has it been since we waltzed? And her answer is hours, which is just like...
Yes.
They're so in love.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
And then we do a great, like, swipe because he dips her as they waltz and she grabs
it's an awesome
dust
transition.
Cover. And she whips it over her head, and it reveals the whole room in full party swing. And it's beautiful.
It's really great editing. Yeah, masterful editing. Again, you're talking about like a children's. Not that this hadn't have a budget. It's a $30 million movie, but just you're talking about a children's movie with the kind of edit that like you really struggle to see in any type of movie anymore.
They don't do good transitions anymore.
Yeah, it's really well done. You just don't see a lot of them, you know. I love the band. They kind of like pan over the band, and one guy is like playing a snake as a flute. It's kind of fun. And then people are arriving, and Lurch, I guess, is being the chauffeur. We really missed out on a bit that I would have enjoyed.
Or the valet. Lurch in Cousin It's car.
Yes. Yeah. What did I say? I meant to say valet. What did I say? Chauffeur is what I said.
You said chauffeur.
Wrong word.
Valet.
Wrong word. Valet is what I meant. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Cousin It pulls up in this really great car. I was Googling it after, and I think it was like a...
It's a real thing. It's like a 3-wheeler. It's like a small...
It is a like concept by a real car company that I don't know that this exact car ever existed, but certainly ones very similar to it did exist. But this one has like a different like convertible type roof or something that I don't know that they ever actually manufactured. But we really did miss out on Lurch being in this thing with his knees up over his ears. Like, yeah.
I think the actor probably was like, I can't physically do this.
No, I know, but that's what it's a movie. Like, make one that he like make a side of it, and then you could have like so the side is open. Like,
make fake legs.
Just do something like, yeah, that would be even better. Have the actor like wear it like suspenders practically. Again, like not the real car.
Yeah.
And then just put fake legs in there. Yeah. It would have been good. It would be a $500,000 joke, but I would have enjoyed it.
We find out that Fester is the oldest Adam, so technically the entire estate belongs to him. At the same time, Wednesday discovers that Uncle Fester is not Uncle Fester.
Yes. And there's a great bit with her and Fester and like being found out. And then right after this, we see Gomez flirting. Well, I guess flirting might be the wrong word, but like schmoozing Flora and Fauna, who was the women that caused this big kerfuffle dust up between him and Fester in the past, and we see that they're actually conjoined twins. And so later when they're like doing smooches on Fester and leaving lipstick marks all over, and both of them are whispering like, "I'll call you when I'm alone," is really good.
I'll call you when she's asleep.
Yeah. They do the Mamushka. Apparently there's a version of this with like a much longer
full
Mamushka.
song with like listing famous brothers.
Yeah, and I have to say, don't need it. Thank you.
Did not need it. The correct choice was made.
Apparently audiences were like, that scene's way too long, and they cut it down, and then like finally 25 years later on the Blu-ray they put it back and people were rejoicing. I know I'm gonna get hate mail for this. I feel the same way about that song they cut from the Muppet Christmas Carol, which I think sucks.
Oh yeah, the bummer one.
Yeah, they cut the bummer song and people were like, put back this song, it's so good. And then I watched it and I was like, nah, this sucks.
So yeah, now when you're on Disney Plus and you go to Christmas Carol or Muppet Christmas Carol, go down to extras and you can watch it either with the bumper song in it or without.
Yeah. I think it's like, Michael Caine is like giving it his all and everything. I just
it's
think
the fucking Cheer Up Charlie. I don't.
Yeah.
If I could skip Cheer Up Charlie, I would.
Yeah. Honestly, really hot take. I'm kind of mid on Muppet Christmas Carol. Like, I don't hate it, but I don't love that movie.
I like it. I think I like Muppet Treasure Island better.
Same.
But
my beef is I just don't care for the Christmas Carol story. This is why I don't like a lot of Christmas movies, because all Christmas movies are either
Christmas Carol.
All Christmas movies are either A Christmas Carol or It's a Wonderful Life. There's like very few that aren't one of those two plots, and one of those plots I do not care for.
Yeah.
Give me the Mickey Mouse version that gets it done in 27 minutes. Thank you.
Or the walkthrough, it's done in 10.
Yeah. No, it's not. That place is always jam packed. It's more like a 15, 20, but yes. Fester. This is like the part of the turn where I was like feeling like my version of the movie is a slight improvement, because like Fester is like, oh, I know the dance. Cause like he starts doing the choreography and stuff. And it's like, oh, he is Fester. Wait. What? And then that's the point where I started scratching my head, because again, I didn't really remember I remembered the broad strokes of this movie, but not the details. I love the party ends. Cousin It puts the moves on Dan Hedea's wife.
Oh yeah, he does.
Dana Ivey, and she's like, we've been.
She says we
long.
Can't, we shouldn't.
Yeah. Physically, I would like to know how. I don't understand what's under there.
I don't think there is anything under there.
It's just a broom.
I think it's like just hair.
Broom. Well, doesn't she get pregnant in the sequel?
Oh, you know what? They do have kids.
Because there's a baby Addams in the sequel, but isn't there also
that's
a baby?
Pubert? That's baby Pubert. That's
a terrible name. I can't remember. I did not remember it.
Yeah, baby Pubert. He's and he has a little mustache.
That's awful. It's terrible.
He has a little mustache too.
I remember that he looked like a tiny little Gomez, but I did not remember his name was Pubert. That's a terrible name.
It's got to be weird. It's Pugsley and Wednesday and Pubert. What is it? Gomez, Morticia, Wednesday, Pugsley, and Tim. Steve.
How about like
Mike?
No, but couldn't it not sound like puberty or pubes?
But that's
both of those.
Morticia sounds like mortician. Pugsley sounds like a dog. Like,
yeah, if you had a choice between being named Wednesday, Pugsley, Morticia, Gomez, or Pubert, which of those 5 names is in 5th place? It's Pubert, or you're lying.
I mean, Pugsley is pretty.
I would be Pugsley 10 times before I would be Pubert once. Pubert, come on. Hand to God, you're telling me that you would rather be called
Pubert versus Pugsley? Because with
everyone loves pugs. They're adorable.
Pubert, you can say Bert. Hey, I'm Bert. Pugsley, what are you doing? Hi, I'm Pugs.
Lee. It's the same as Bert. It's literally the same as Bert.
But I don't know.
You just cut it in half and take the back half.
I don't know.
I think Pubert is a crazy choice. Bert, honestly, if it was Gomez, Morticia, Wednesday, Pugsley, and Bert, it's kind of fits in the vibe.
I mean, they probably could have named it like him, like I guess they could have named him like after some serial killer. What?
I was just laughing to myself. We spent so much time on this. It's not even in this movie. It's a different film.
I purposely didn't pick Addams Family Values because I wanted to do the one that actually qualifies first before we do the one that like qualifies by like the transitive property.
Sequel properties.
We will eventually do that one because oh boy, is Joan Cusack just killing it.
Oh, she's magnificent in that movie. Yeah.
I have not seen it January, but Joan Cusack month.
All Cusack movies? We could do that. Yeah.
Or we could think of a month for
we do one Joan, one John.
I was gonna say we could find a Cusack like month name and do a Joan and a John. Unless it's January.
I like that. I mean, we could backdoor it because they're both in Say Anything. So
that's true, and they're not.
They're both in several movies.
Yeah.
Anyway, the party ends. We find Pugsley asleep inside a cloche like a roast beef, which I thought was good.
It's so good. Wednesday's missing, so they all fan out and look for her, except Fester says he'll stay behind in case she comes back. And it's just a trick so that they can lock the Addams out of their own house.
Yeah, and try to steal the vault. Dan Hedaya is sunning himself with a copy of The Sun Also Rises. Another great joke like this. He locks them out, and then I had a lot of beef with this judge who should absolutely have recused himself because he has too close of a ties to this case.
100%.
This should be Gomez could easily have gotten a mistrial declared. If he had actually hired a lawyer, this would have been an open and shut case for the Addams family, and this is a true miscarriage of justice.
Yeah. Well, so they get to them. They pack up all their stuff, including a tree from the yard.
Yes. And they go to a little, rundown motel. Did you notice when the kids are outside selling lemonade that the motel advertises that it has kitchens spelled Kitchin? Yeah.
I assume that's like we have like a hot plate and a sink.
Maybe. I assumed it was a guy who couldn't spell owns this motel.
See, I figured it was like one of those weird, like, if we don't spell it with an E, then technically it's something because there's a place near me that said it's called like Sleepy Hollow Deli, but it's Delly. And I was like, hang on. I was like, what is...
Maybe that's like a copyrightable thing.
Maybe. I was like, what differentiates a Delly from a Deli? Because Deli is short for delicatessen.
I was having a conversation with I guess there's an old Simpsons joke of the Salvador Deli, like Salvador Dali. And this person was like, oh yeah, I've noticed that like there's a lot of delis on Long Island that are, the same, have the same joke. I didn't realize it was a joke from The Simpsons. And I was like, are you sure it's not the very popular Italian name Salvatore on one of the like highest concentration of Italians in one area? Are you sure it's not Salvatore's Deli? And it was like, oh yeah, probably.
Salvador Dali Parton.
Excellent one. They're hunting for the vault. They're in the bad guys are hunting for the vault. The Addams family's in this cheap
messing
hotel.
It wrong, like doing the wrong like chain pull or whatever.
We get a full-on ad for Tombstone. Literally, like the entire frame of the shot is the
it's
Tombstone
with Lurch's head in the middle
and Lurch's big dumb head in the middle. And I was like, wait a minute, there was definitely a tie-in for this.
Yeah, because the catchphrase for Tombstone is "What do you want on your tombstone?" Yeah, so it makes sense.
Well, the ad campaign I remember was cowboys doing that, like a high noon showdown. What do you want on your tombstone? And then the joke was like they each pulled out a pizza instead of a pistol.
I mean that makes I don't remember. The only commercials I remember are the Scary Penguin commercials from childhood.
But I texted you because I went Googling because I was like, man, I feel like I remember this. Did you open that link?
I did.
Sent you of the. Do you think that is legitimate or like someone doing a representation of it now? Because what I thought was interesting is it was very similar to the New Yorker. That's where they originated, right? The cartoons.
I think so.
It looks like the old New Yorker cartoons as opposed to this versions of the characters, which I thought was kind of weird. But
they actually almost look like the 70s cartoon version.
Okay. But there was a comment on it. Someone was like, oh, I have these two, but I need this one. And I was like, oh, maybe they are legit. But then more Googling, I found out that in 2019, when the animated one was released, they did a Tombstone tie-in again.
Is Tombstone still a thing?
Apparently.
I don't do much frozen pizza, so.
No. Yeah.
Not that I have anything against a frozen pizza. I don't.
The times I do frozen pizza is when Safeway is like, hey, for some reason we've decided to give you a free frozen pizza. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it. And then I get it. And then like at some point we eat it.
My boyfriend likes an Ilio's French bread sometimes.
Okay. I see the nostalgia appeal there. I'm not a big fan, but I get it.
Mm-hmm. We occasionally will do like the Quest pizzas.
Is that like a diet friendly thing?
Yeah, it's like a low carb thing.
Okay,
but they're pretty good in terms of, like, they know how to make good crust.
Our grandmother would make pizza. I have one of her pizza pans. I just make, it's like you buy pizza dough, you roll it out, you bake it, you throw some stuff. It's like a very easy process to make. It doesn't take much longer to make what I make in a sheet tray as it would take to make a frozen pizza. So I just make pizza. But
fair.
That's, I'm a bougie bitch. What do you want from me?
This is where we see the girl who would be Amanda in the second movie, and
also Harmony from Buffy. One of several ladies from Buffy who I found out after watching Buffy had posed nude for things. And I was like, whoa, Harmony, huh? Not a character I would have expected to have a big demand for this. Yeah.
Who else posed nude?
I'm pretty sure Charisma Carpenter.
Oh, you know what? I did know that one.
Yeah, but she was like a star on the show. She like went over to Angels.
Yeah,
I got. You could sell a magazine by saying like Charisma Carpenter's in here. I didn't think Harmony had the same draw.
No offense.
We're talking about the magazine era of this. That's why I was like, huh. But all I could think of was, isn't this like the same Girl Scout outfit that what's his face wears in Loaded Weapon?
It does look remarkably similar. Wilderness goes.
Yeah, I was like, is she wearing Tim Curry's exact costume from Wilderness Girls?
Is that one alpine or oak? I want to watch that scene now.
Angelica Houston gets a job reading to children, which I think she would be pretty good at. Like, Morticia seems like a logical fit for this.
Yeah.
She's got this sort of theatricality that would make this really fun. She's kind of got the Elvira energy. Elvira and Morticia have...
Elvira and Morticia, Lily Munster, and Vampira are sort of in the same section of the grocery store.
Yeah. But she's making all the kids cry, which is pretty fantastic.
Because she's telling Hansel and Gretel, but siding with the witch.
Yeah, they burned the poor witch. Thing gets a job as a courier, and we
very
see the
Pepe
old
Sylvia.
FedEx. Yes, absolutely. But we also see the old FedEx branding when it was still sort of like, it looked like official U.S. mail branding.
Yeah, I was like, what is this weird box? And then I saw that it said FedEx. I was like, were they just trying to trick people?
It was before they had changed to FedEx, when they were Federal Express, like the full name.
Oh.
Like it says Federal Express, not FedEx. Yeah. Sally Jesse Raphael, which is like a real relic of 1991. Gomez keeps calling and she's like, Gomez, stop calling us. I was delighted when it went from just like, this is on TV to actually know this is in the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, she was also on an episode of The Nanny. Like, Fran and Mr. Sheffield got invited.
Look.
But like it was
Sally.
They got invited to be on Sally Jesse Raphael in universe because of something that happened.
Sally Jesse would take your check, no problem.
Oh,
it was not something that she was not an Oprah who was like, maybe I'm a little above that. Although I think Oprah's got plenty of embarrassing shit in hers, like her Ninja Turtles episodes.
I don't think anyone's embarrassed by those Ninja Turtle episodes.
We might need to do like a full Patreon commentary of like the Oprah Ninja Turtles episodes at some point.
And coming out of their shell. Because I'm sure that tape was 30 minutes long.
Coming out of their shell is a lot longer than you think it is.
No.
It's at least an hour.
What?
Yeah, it was a full concert. Like, if you didn't put on a real show, people would have been pissed. So I think it's probably
I just assumed it was like, I don't know, like
it toured, baby.
It actually toured.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a touring thing that like people went to, and it was like a whole big thing. I don't know if the tape includes all of it, but it was like a show plus songs. Like at one point Shredder comes in and he like
stops a song called I Hate Music.
He sings a song called I Hate Music. Yeah. I hate music. I think it's the worst.
and I just know that April O'Neil is Sherry Renee Scott, who is a pretty well-known Broadway actress. She's not like a Patti LuPone, Brenda Peters level, but she's pretty well known.
Splinter gets a song that's like kind of Springsteen-y called like Skipping Stones, about like, like literally like skipping stones across the water and thinking about your life. But it's kind of like a Springsteen-y, like, right down here,
Okay.
Anyway, Angelica Houston gets kidnapped and they're torturing her, and Thing tags along for this. It's a pretty good bits. Also, we did not touch on Thing yet. This rules. It looks incredible. It would look incredible in a movie tomorrow. It looks amazing for 1991.
It looks really good. I mean, obviously. So where did you watch this on Paramount or Netflix?
Okay, so I watched it on Paramount. However, I also got months ago, Xfinity like randomly once a month is like, hey, you want a free movie? And I'm always like, yeah, all right. And then they put it in my account like I've purchased it. So I was watching it on there because I didn't realize it was on Paramount. I knew I had it in this account. And the fucking thing that they sell you doesn't have surround sound. It made me so angry. Like, I switched over to Paramount where it did, but I was just like, why are you selling this garbage product to people?
Because they're not selling. They're giving you a freebie to make you to rub your little head and go, please don't switch your cable provider.
But it's the same thing that you would get if you actually bought it. Like, they don't have two versions on their server, and one is the free shitty version and one is the one with surround sound. Like, that's insane. Why would you do that?
So that you can give away a shittier product.
Maybe.
Spend less money.
I just don't think enough people would care about that to have the two different products available for sale, but maybe you're right. Anyway, what was your question regarding?
So I watched it on Netflix, and I feel like the quality was not stellar.
There's some visible digital artifacts in a few scenes.
Yeah.
Or some not digital artifacts.
Digital
actual,
artifacting.
Like, no. It's like blemishes on the actual film print when they scan it to be, for home video. There's like little dirt and whatever on the thing.
Because some of the Thing effects were
jankier,
a little jankier.
Okay.
Or I could tell that they were digital effects or effects of some kind.
Well, he comes and he communicates with Gomez. He's doing sign language. Then he does Morse code. I liked all of this.
He couldn't write on the pen with the pen.
Yeah, the pen wouldn't work. He throws it. That's really good. I mean, most of the gags are like clearly a human hand is like through a table or whatever. But it when it's not that, it's cool looking. So we mount a rescue mission, and Gomez bursts in through the window, sees Angelica Houston tied to this like cross and BDSM thing.
Oh boy, is he
mon ami
horny?
Oh, mon chéri, not mon ami. Mon ami.
Caramia.
And then I love the music is swelling and he's like kissing her arm and talking sweet to her, and the German lady's like, knock it off, and the music stops.
And they both look at her as if like, if looks could kill, this German woman will be dead.
Yeah. So there's like a big tete-a-tete. Dan Hedaya and Gomez have a sword fight, and then Fester makes his choice for his true calling, and he's like, no, because the book earlier that opens the vault was Greed. But he's like, it's not that book. I know you're lying. And he picks up a book called Hurricane Irene, and we're like, this is perfectly set up for any movie, but particularly a children's movie where it's like, oh, the books are whatever the thing says. Oh, he has a hurricane.
He has a hurricane gun now.
So he uses this book, which is very Evil Dead looking. I don't know if you felt the same.
I thought so, yeah. The swirling and everything.
A lot of swirling and superimposed frames on top of each other. He launches Dan Hedaya and his mother out a window, and they land perfectly in
face down into caskets that close and lower into the ground. But then
in graves dug by Wednesday and Pugsley.
The camera pans up slightly, and you see Wednesday and Pugsley perfectly posed in the middle between these two graves, and the music like does a motif, and I was like, it's just good. It's just really good.
Yeah. Fester gets electrocuted and remembers who he is, and so there's like kind of this like awakening after, and then we cut to a few months later. It's Halloween. Pugsley is dressed like Uncle Fester, which is very adorable.
It's very cute, and Wednesday is dressed as a homicidal maniac. They look like everyone else, spawning the joke everyone, all the spooky goth kids say all the time. Yeah. But it's a good line. Can't fault this movie for the way people used it incorrectly, much like, a Goodfellas or a Fight Club. Margaret shows up with Cousin It. We get they used to sell this at Disney World at the Haunted Mansion, because there's a video of our brother doing one of these. Oh, the light bulb thing in your mouth and it lights up. I always thought that thing was so cool. I'm sure you can buy them on Amazon. I have looked for it in the past, and I don't think it's manufactured anymore. That seems weird.
I think this gag has run its course, but maybe not. I think it worked by like you touched your tongue to it and completed a circuit, and maybe that people are just like, maybe we don't do that. Maybe it's just an on-off switch, you know what I mean? Which is less fun. Then we decide we're going to play Wake the Dead, which they never explain. It's just that they start digging up their relatives and looking at the bones, I think. I thought they were going to reanimate.
I think they are. I think that the end goal is to reanimate.
Yeah. And then Morticia kind of stands in the doorway with Gomez watching their happy family, and she drops down the thing she's been knitting, and it's a baby outfit because she's pregnant, but it does have 3 legs, right?
It's got 3 legs.
Okay.
Because weird. Because spooky.
They have a huge smooch that lasts like a good 45 seconds as MC Hammer starts to play. And
the Addams Family rap.
Yeah. And then there's a big thank you to Lady Coleyton, who was the second wife of the Addams who created the Addams Family, and in the divorce got the rights to the characters, which is a real bummer for him.
Yeah, she has a good lawyer.
Yeah, and so she made a lot of money off of these movies. This is a hearty recommend for me. It's like a really strong, entertaining children's movie. I do have that one quibble about the plot that I think takes it from like like I said, just a few notches higher, but it's a very entertaining movie. It's very funny.
Too long.
It's quick. No. And there's not a single whoa joke in it, which, I always like in a kid's movie when you
I think the Addams Family, the new CGI ones might have a whoa in there.
Okay. I haven't watched the CGI ones, but I did watch the Wednesday show because it looked like Tim Burton. I don't even like Tim Burton, but I like seeing people like get their mojo back, and it looked like it was maybe that. And then I was like, oh, he didn't direct all of these, just a couple, so not really. So that's fine. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We read that review earlier. If you haven't reviewed the show, review the dang show. We read those on the air, and it helps us a lot. If it's not the Apple Podcast app, then send us a screenshot, dissectingthe80s@gmail.com. We would really appreciate those. They help the show tremendously. Another thing that helps the show tremendously is if you like it, tell 2 friends. The old-fashioned word of mouth. Nothing better.
And if you're new to us from my Bear World magazine interview,
hello.
Say hello.
Yeah.
Send us a review. Send us an email.
Yeah. So dissectingthe80s@gmail.com. We're at dissectthe80s on Twitter and dissectingthe80s on Facebook, which I am not nearly active enough on either at doing my best. Hey, if you want to do our social media, reach out. maybe we could hire you. Thank you so very much for listening to the show. Sorry about the schedule switching. We did post that on the socials ahead of time, so I know some of you like to keep up with the movies in line with the show, so sorry that we had to switch it up, but just circumstances dictated that. But our next episode is definitely on Goodfellas for sure, so be back here in 2 weeks to hear us, well, at least me, gush about one of my favorite movies of all time, and hopefully Andrew doesn't hate it and make my day sad. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I have been Tripp Leno.
I will always be Andrew Leno.
Until next time.
Don't you forget about me.
Dissecting the 80s is a Chum Some of This production.